panel, when I firstly watched Finding Nemo and looked at the dirty fish tank that exists, I yelled and feel that was gross. But then I realized that fish tank was a small habitation that picturized the seas if people did the same exact thing to ignore. My intuition is right because I grew up and realized that people right now ignore the environment, right? That is how I see rubbish every day that was still recyclable, that was just thrown out by society and floating on the sea. We want to tackle this kind of problem. That is why we stand on proposition bench. I'm going to talk about two things in my speech. Firstly, why is it morally legitimate for us to criminalize the people who doesn't recycle? But secondly, then, is it actually going to be effective, this kinds of criminalization, right? Before that, 2 points of setup. Definition. What does recycle means, right? Recycle means that you are actually using again or reuse a waste material by changing it into something new. As in, for example, how you need to see Aqua organization recycle their own plastic bottle, waste into a new package of bottle, or in how you see as an individual itself, you try to recycle the paper, cardboard, waste into something craft or even toys, right? But secondly, what are we going to do then? Criminalization is apparently making some kinds of activity into illegal, right? Firstly, to criminalize means that we need some kinds of legal law to make it valid and legitimate, so government gonna make a law on this, right? But secondly, how is going to work, right? When someone or a big organization or corporation want to throw rubbish, they need to throw it out into the garbage dump, in which every stall was looked out by a person who's going to work and in charge of checking every rubbish on a whole scale. But secondly, if we manage to identify there's still an object that was still reusable or recycled, we will report this and give sanction, i.e. criminalize them, by giving, like if it's individual, by giving monetary sanction or social work, depends on the number of the object that they choose to ignore and depends on which one that they actually do. But secondly, if it was a big thirdly, if it was a big corporation, we're going to prosecute them in terms of monetary sanction, but also imprisonment depends on the scale of the object, right? Moving on to my first argument then, why is it morally legitimate for us to criminalize the people who doesn't recycle? First analysis, what is currently happening in the current status quo? Firstly, people are throwing rubbish anywhere without thinking twice, even if they can still reuse or recycle it into something new. But secondly, people consume and buy objects just for their own fulfilling their own satisfaction of senses, like how people right now buy stuff just because they're so cute, right? I need you to note up that this is not only individual act, but also the big organization who produce the big number of product, because firstly, they throw their product litter anywhere to fasten out the process of producing. But secondly, it's because they doesn't want to think twice what they can do with a recyclable garbage. Second analysis then, what is the impact on society's act? We can see on how the global warming effect was getting worse or even like faster. This is on how we can see it with our bare eyes, how the ice in north was melting each day, on how this problem is very urgent. Like you can see there's campaign or even protest that was held by the scientists who work under the environmental sector in April that was trending in social media. Now I want you to note up, if this actually continue, then we're going to live under a non-feasible places on earth, right? This is exactly the importance of the legal law on pushing the criminalization of people is really important to be exist. Third analysis then, now this actor is actually held responsible to recycle, like why it needs to be the method. Firstly, because recycling is the most affordable one, everyone could do it. Because do notice when someone pays for exchange for something, it proves how they're consented to take the responsibility of their objected, right? You need to when you want to do recycle, you don't need to buy additional stuff or thingy, but you only need to use the stuff that you already had from the beginning of the day, so there will be no additional money that was going to go out. But secondly, we didn't prevent them on buying stuff that they really need. We still fulfill their right to actually manage to buy stuff, but we only push less stress on going out, right? Sure, people can buy anything that they want, but the thing is that we push people's creativity on making more innovation through the products that in the future was going to be benefiting them, right? That means that only trash that was going to help out was the one who can't this society really recycle, right? Now, with this exact analysis, we prove to you on how now everyone can do it and there is no exception for anyone to not doing the law itself, right? Now, fourth analysis then, is it to be like supposed to be criminalization? Yup, it's because one of the characterization when someone can be counted as a criminal is when firstly they actually do mens rea, on how it's about negligence, right? On how people, right, firstly people do notice that the earth was dying, but when they didn't do the recycle thingy, that means they're pushing the thought of saving the earth, right? Notice that this is bad because people are benefited from the earth and to live and progress here. That means there needs to be reciprocal relationship where they help each other not only to recover but also to save the humanity. But secondly, do notice that they have the active willingness to do crime, right? This is because everyone, just basically anyone from upper classes to lower classes, know the general knowledge of 3R that includes unrecycle, because they got it from school, educational institution, socialization, online platform, basically anywhere, right? But when they didn't do it, when they have the knowledge, when there have been a law, that means that the law that was spread, that means that when they just didn't follow that law, they're willing to do the crime exactly when they know how to prevent it, but they choose not to do it in the first place, right? This is also connected to actus reus, a concrete action or even a clear act of willingness to do the crime itself, even if they know how to prevent that, right? Now, with that being said, it is supposed to be criminalization. But lastly, though, does this punish criminals actually justify proportionately? We say yes, because in our mechanism, we're going to calculate on the objects that are still recyclable and not generalizing people, right? So it is going to be, proportionate for everyone, for individuals, also the big scale of organization. With this first principle argument, we managed to prove to you why it is justifiable for us to actually push the criminalization of people who doesn't do the recycle, right? Second arguments then, how it will reintegrate society after punishment and give them deterrence. Of course, note that this will be trending because recycling was a really close thing to human life, but it was changed with the consequences of criminalization, right? The thing is that no one will want to get the harm, or even organization, right? Because firstly, there will be monetary sanction. Money is everything right now. Even organization is profit based, right? So that means knowing that the money is very valuable right now, people will try to save them in the first place, exactly because they have a lot of basic things that they need to fulfill. But secondly, about imprisonment means they actually cut down your freedom of liberty. And lastly though, there is social service that will cut down your time. Because of getting scared, getting the sanction, what will happen in the current status quo is that firstly, when it becomes trending, people will talk about it and there will be discussion, right? When this discussion exists, people will try to remind each other the pros and cons of doing this, on doing the recycle thingy, exactly because they had the indirect deterrences that will make them integrate with one another, because they doesn't want to get the sanction of firstly monetary sanction, secondly imprison, and thirdly social services, depends on the actor itself, right? So that means firstly it will integrate society on how there will be discussion, there will be platform for them to talk about the pros and cons and pushing these people, but secondly it will give them deterrence and warning for these people to still do this crime. And that is why this is the exact reason why it will be very effective for society if we actually make a law that we will try to criminalize someone if they didn't recycle, right? Knowing on the impact itself and knowing that this will be a far base and a long-term impact, we feel that the one who needs to win this debate is the one who can change the world into a better one. That is proposition side. So with this being said, we feel proud to be in proposition.